How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. I was hoping to get this video out a lot earlier. I'm actually quite sore. My Activision account got hacked, and Activision were absolutely no help whatsoever. It took me 3 or 4 hours of trying to actually get my account back. They were of no help whatsoever. Luckily, the person that hacked my account was really stupid, and they used a website called Zittrue, and that's basically an open generated email that anyone can access if you've got the first email username. And I was able to go in and basically unlink all my details. I possibly could have gained control of the account. I didn't want to risk it because I could see there was activity from the hacker as well on there. So I quickly unlinked everything that I could. Well, everything was unlinked. And I just created a new account. There wasn't much on my Activision account anyway, so that's good. Most of my stuff is on my Blizzard.net account. So the Activision account is just for that, and most of all the data is stored on my Xbox account anyway. So once I link my Xbox account, everything should be there. So happy days for a happy resolution, but that's the delay because of this one. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about the Microsoft Q4 earnings and why I don't think it's it's as bad as people are saying, especially with all the analysts coming out of the woodworks at the moment. And, I guess that kind of applies to me as well. But if we're looking at the figures at face value and then looking at the reality of the situation, they're actually pretty healthy overall for Microsoft, and they're pretty healthy overall for everything else. Now, the only downside here is, of course, the hardware, but we're going to get into that. But before we do, if you are enjoying the content, do consider leaving a like, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release, and smash that red button to subscribe. We are trying to get to 7,250 subs. Let's see if we can hit that challenge of 200 likes. And if you want to support me further, you can do so through my YouTube membership. You can get access to content early if you do become a member. Of course, you can support me through Super Thanks and my Patreon. Right. On with the actual video. Now, as you can see here, this is a snapshot of the actual earnings. Now, the revenue for Microsoft was $64.7 billion. It's up by 15%. That is great news for Microsoft. 15% increase is an enormous increase. That means their net income was $22 billion this year. Now, that is up 10%, which is, and anyone saying that that's not healthy is crazy. Gaming revenue was up by 44%. Now, actually, 48% came from Activision, and that actually propelled Microsoft to go into the positive. Otherwise, they would have been in the negative. But you know what? All these people that are kind of separating Activision and Blizzard and Microsoft gaming studios is stupid because they are now one entity. Activision is Xbox. So, I know people are going to constantly try and say, "Oh, but without Activision, you would have been." It's a good thing they bought them, then, right? It's a good transaction. It was a very, very good investment by Phil Spencer and Microsoft. So all they're doing there is outlining how good of an investment this actually was. Now, the Xbox Content Service revenue is up by 61%. Again, 58% is propelled by Activision, 3% from Xbox Game Studios. Now, the biggest downer here, obviously, is the Xbox hardware. This is down by 42% year on year, and I do believe that they do need to sort this out. They do need to find a solution. But if you constantly turn around and tell people that you do not need a console to play your video games, no console required, no console needed, no console for whatever reason. All you need is this stick and the cloud, and I know they're pushing the cloud hard at the moment for reasons we discussed yesterday in the stream. This is the end result you are going to get. There is no marketing push for the console anywhere in the world right now. And though we did see some really good, rises during Black Friday, which they were selling at a monumental loss. During Christmas, they were selling at a loss. But during the college football, when that came out, that was actually doing extremely well. And, the consoles, especially the Series S's, they sold out. And that, it seems to be the primary platform that people go for. And, good on them, but they just need more of that now. They need more to drive that console sale engagement. They need to do more on marketing. They need to do more brand awareness. Simply word of mouth is not enough, not like it is for the Windows and everything else. Now, we do have this clip over here from the actual call, and of course, if we switch over here Tom Warren left no stone unturned to try and immediately stick that nail in, like this was the worst situation ever for Microsoft. As you can see here, he's like trying to really, really go in for that, sticking the knife in. But did you expect anything less from Tom Warren? I didn't, and I'm not surprised that he's actually taken the opportunity to try and take another stab at Microsoft. I really do want to know what Microsoft has done to him, because clearly they must have. Maybe they bought his house and made him homeless. I genuinely don't know. But clearly, they've done something to him to really piss him the hell off. But anyway, here's what I want to actually listen to. It's only 2 minutes, but it's worth listening to.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to ask the question. I actually wanted to veer toward gaming, if I could, for a second. Xbox Content Services revenue grew 61%, 58 points help from Activision. So net is about 3 points of growth. How should investors think about the longer-term growth potential in this area? You've made significant investments, including the Activision deal. But how should investors be thinking about the growth potential of the gaming area? Or what are the puts and takes to help make considerations here? Thank you.
Yeah, for us, our investment in gaming fundamentally was to have, I would say, the right portfolio of both what we love about gaming and always have loved about gaming, which is Xbox and the content for the console, and expand from there so that we have content for everywhere people play games, starting with the PC. So when I think about the Activision portfolio, it comes with great assets for us to cover both the PC and the console. And then, of course,
it's important to note he's not saying consoles, so he's not referring to the Switch or the PlayStation. He is only referring to here the Xbox console. And I appreciate there's a Series S and the X, but it is still the Xbox console. And that is the central point of focus that he is saying. And then appealing to the wider audience is coming through PC, and I assume he's going to now say through the cloud.
Of course, assets to cover mobile sockets, which we never had. So we feel that now we have both the content and the ability to access all the traditional high-scale platforms where people play games, which is the console, PC, and mobile.
And that is the market, right? If you have the Holy Trinity and you can control the Holy Trinity and you have the games that can actually merge with them, I still believe that they do need games like Genshin Impact on Honkai Star Rail on there to bolster their sales. We saw in the stream yesterday how these games are making roughly $250 million a month. So that's a lot of money. So not having them on your portfolio is a real loss. But the key here is having that Trinity in synergy, so you can play your games anywhere you want, on the go, as you go. And Microsoft has been pushing that and has been doing a fantastic job in doing that, especially since I can play my Xbox games wherever I want now, whether it's on my Steam Deck. I want to get an Asus ROG. I'm probably going to get one in the end. It's inevitable. But, they're releasing their own handheld as well. So you can see that's, they want it everywhere so they can maximize profits. Of course, there is the whole diluting of the console matter, and though they say the console is still their primary focus, we need to start seeing more of that in actual real terms rather than just physical say.
But we're also excited about these new sockets, right? I mean, the fact that even in this last quarter we expanded xCloud to Amazon TV. I forget the name of what it's called, but that's the type of new access that really helps us a lot.
I mean, you can see how much you cared for Amazon Fire Stick, right?
Reach new gamers or the same gamer everywhere they want to play. And that ultimately will show up in that software plus services and transaction revenue for us, which is really our long-term KPI.
So basically they're saying, we want this everywhere. We want money coming in from Amazon, from Google, from your mobile phones. We want money coming in through Game Pass. We want money coming in through Xbox. We want money coming in through mobile gaming. They're not just happy with one one revenue stream. They want multiple revenue streams coming in. And they believe that by doing that, within that ecosystem, they don't need anyone else, which is essentially referring to Sony and Nintendo.
And that's what we're building towards. And that was the strategy behind Activision as an asset. Amy, if you wanted to add to it.
No, I do think the The real goal here is to be able to take a broadened set of content to more users in more places, and really build what looks more like, to us, a software annuity and subscription business with enhanced transactions and the ownership of IP, which is quite valuable long-term. As Satya mentioned, things where with the ownership of IP, it can be monetized in multiple ways. And I think we're really encouraged by some of the progress and how we're making progress with Game Pass as well with some of the new announcements. Thank you, Keith.
And what you can understand from there is that there has definitely been an increase in Game Pass subscriptions, especially with the Call of Duty edition, Modern Warfare 3. There's been, a rise in Game Pass subscriptions, and the one thing she said, which kind of, to me, is a bit of a kick in the balls, is the whole, how can I say it? Is the whole content annuity, right? The software annuity, where they value now the software more than the hardware, and they want the software to be everywhere. The hardware is kind of like the conduit to give you stuff for those that want it, but the software appearing on that hardware is the key. And in a sense, depending on how you interpret that, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. I know the PlayStation Ponies and Tom Warren is going to interpret that as they're giving up on all hardware whatsoever, even though they're building a new console and a new handheld. But I take this as something completely different. I see this as them wanting that content, that software, that annuity that they're talking about, so you can play your games, drop and pick up on any platform that is within the platform ecosystem that they want to deliver to you. So you can start on your Xbox, move over to your Xbox handheld, then move over to your ROG Ally, move over to your PC, move over to your Chromebook via the cloud on the browser, move over to something else, and still be able to play, even on your mobile. So I think that's what they're referring to in that, and that obviously broadens up a huge thing. And obviously when the mobile store comes out, which we've seen is coming, we've got notices now of it coming soon, that is going to be a thing. So they do need to push the console hardware. It's clear that they're a bit worried. I don't understand why investors are concerned about Xbox Gaming Studios, considering Xbox and Activision are now one. And so that 61% is still 61% Xbox content, service, and revenue. They're not, Microsoft isn't splitting this up. They're not saying this is Xbox revenue and then this is Activision revenue. No, this is one revenue. And obviously you can see this as well with the gaming revenue. So it's fine from where I'm sitting, this is fine. Windows revenue is up 7%, which is good. It's usually within, I think it's like 6 or 10%. Device revenue, the Surface laptops and tablets have been on a downhill stroke for a long time. We've seen the divisions being closing down for that, so it's no surprise that this is slowly and utterly disappearing. LinkedIn revenue is up by 10%, and search and news advertising revenue, those of you that do like the whole Microsoft reward points, where you click around and all of this, that is earning them a lot of money, and that is up by 19%. That just shows how many of you are actually doing that. But a lot of people are saying that this is bad, and it really isn't. As you can see here, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says, in gaming, the company now have over 500 million monthly active users across platforms and devices. Our content pipelines has never been stronger. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's over, but what that 500 million means is that essentially that's 500 million people that now have access to microtransactions, as opposed to Sony's 60 million. And microtransactions is what fuels money. As much as I don't like it, it is what fuels money. We've got Brad Sams here pretty much going through the same thing. Breaking it down as well, like I was doing in the video. Does make you feel better to only tell half-truths. So this person over here, but obviously Brad Sams has made him shut up over here because that dude's an idiot. But, if you constantly tell people that you don't need a console to play your games, then you shouldn't be surprised when your console isn't selling. It's really that simple. But of course, it doesn't stop James from laughing at this 0.57 deficit loss for ABK. And obviously, Nibs over here is straight in there with that Q2, 3, and 4, 440 million loss, 350 million loss, 570 million loss. But this is all normal in the first year when you're restructuring, and as he says here, with acquisition, integration, transaction, operating costs. These are all going to affect the overall cost of how much money that company is going to generate in the first year. There's a lot of restructuring going on as the two companies come together. It's a huge financial burden. But what actually gets me here with Nibs is when he tries to compare the scale of Activision merging with Microsoft to Bungie. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Bungie, you're going to sit there and try and compare it to Bungie? Really? To Bungie? Bungie of all people. Bungie. Really? So, here is my takeaway from this, because this is ludicrous, but my overall takeaway. Microsoft as a company overall is doing great. Xbox overall, in my opinion, is doing fine. Activision coming in has definitely bolstered their numbers and their sales, and as a individual department is doing very, very well, because Activision and Xbox are one. It's not just within Microsoft. If we're talking about Activision, we're talking about ZeniMax, we're talking about ABK as well. They become one, right? So, in terms of gaming revenue and content sales and the content services and gaming revenue, I'm not sure where Game Pass would fit into those. Maybe, I guess, in the gaming revenue. I'm actually not sure. But either way, it's looking healthy. The only aspect here that's not looking healthy, and I know a couple of people in my Discord today were saying it doesn't matter. It really does matter. They kind of, if they're saying, if Satchix comes out and says that the hardware is the focal point, that's where we want to focus, and then spread it everywhere else, then they kind of need to fix that, right? Because if they sell the console and people buy the games on the Xbox, they get 100% of the profit, not 60-70% of the profit when it's elsewhere. And that's the key. Now, obviously, with the cloud, it's pretty much a login service. You get 100% for that. But on the PC, when it's on Steam, you also only get about 60-70%, unless it's a sale, and then you're getting a lot less because those margins get really small. But should Xbox gamers be concerned about this? No, not at all. The only thing that Microsoft needs to do now is stop the stupid messaging that no console is required. Reword that messaging. I get what they're saying when they're saying it, but the average consumer does not. And the average consumer who's who they are trying to appeal to will see this and go, "Oh, Xbox is dead now." And that's not the message you want to push out. You don't want to turn around and say Xbox is just this memory card. So I think they need to change and fix that messaging, and hopefully get a few more marketing, deals going on. I know Cole Eastwood and his dude Med guy, or whatever his name is. Sorry if I've bastardized your name. It's not intentional. I just genuinely don't remember your full name at the moment. They're saying Call of Duty is 100%, and not Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto 6 100% is going to go to Sony for the marketing, for the marketing rights. I think Xbox absolutely needs to get that 100% without a shadow of doubt. I don't care what it costs. If they want to push the hardware and push everything, they need to get that. That is paramount to success. They need to get that. That is really, really important. And they need juggernauts like Black Ops 6 to sell and push. They need to market that with the console like there's no tomorrow. And hopefully that will change their outlook for the following year. But overall, I'm not concerned. The Xbox hardware has been dropping. Microsoft has done nothing to sell the console. They've shown no interest in selling the console in Europe or in the Far East. I mean, let's just ignore the Far East because they're not selling anything there anyway. But even in the whole of Europe, which is a big marketplace, they're not advertising, they're not pushing, they're not trying to sell the console. They're doing nothing. All they're focusing on is the US, and that's simply not enough. But outside of that, everything else looks fine to me. I'm not seeing anything bad. I'm not seeing anything to say that they're in trouble. Obviously, the Ponies are going to be jumping about for this. And as we've seen here, Nibs is trying to, he's trying to compare it to Bungie. That's just stupid. Let's be realistic. And like as Fabrica says here, isn't it pretty normal though? When you buy something, you have to account for the expenses of buying throughout the years. Same thing happens with Sony and Bungie. Microsoft is just showing this separately, whereas Sony only said profit is down X% because of acquisition. And obviously, the mammoth that is ABK is bigger. The financial burden is going to be more in the first year. A small company like Bungie, who can barely make a video game, isn't exactly comparable to likes of ABK and the giants that is Call of Duty. And I am sorry if you heard that. But folks, that is going to be the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this video has resonated with you. I hope this has brought some illumination to the situation. I am going to be streaming today now that I've got access to my Xbox, my Activision account. We're going to be doing some Call of Duty today, Modern Warfare 3 finally. I've been planning on doing that, meaning to do that. So that's good. And I will hopefully see you there. Twitch.tv/TheChaosLounge streaming. Hoping I'll see you there. Links in the description below. If you've enjoyed the video, hit that like button. 200 like challenge. Let's make it happen. Hit that subscribe. If you're watching this content, a lot of you do not subscribe or are returning people who are not subscribed. It really helps the channel grow. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it really helps bring me opportunity. So if you are enjoying the content, please do consider subscribing. It really does help. And finally, if you want to support me further, you can do that through my super thanks right underneath the video here, or I guess I should say there, or maybe there, depending on how it's actually coming out. And you can also support me from my Patreon, though I still do need to work on that Patreon. But that's it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.